Okay, let's see where this wormhole goes. Tentacles, Hounds. Yep, take that, Hounds. Hey there, my name is Salendrak, and I'm back with the 4th episode of my Wagstaff Reign of Giants playthrough. We're in the latter half of winter and have yet to be visited by any of the giants. Will we face a Deerclops today, or have to satisfy our bloodlust with lesser foes? Let's find out. When we left off, we had just taken down a Hound attack just after night fell on day 30. We're up exploring the Mosaic biome, so let's get back to it. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before that I'm a bit OCD when it comes to fully exploring my maps. If there's even a tiny sliver I've missed, I simply have to get out there to get it, even if there's no other reason to be in the area. But soon enough, the Mosaic exploration is done, and I've got to say I'm pretty happy with the warmth that my puffy vest is giving me as I explore through the night. Even though I'm still well above freezing, I decide to pause to warm myself up with a few burning trees. I'm planning to hop in the nearby Wormhole down to the southern spider forest, where isolated trees will be harder to find unless I want to accidentally burn down the whole forest. I then set off to explore this forest, hopping up on grass and twigs at the metal potato set thing piece. Oh hey, another walrus camp. That makes, 4 total in the world so far? Although I don't need anything else from McTusk, I would like to get more hound's teeth for a future tooth trap area, as well as more blue gems, which have a 20% chance to drop from the winter hounds. After luring them around a spider nest, I find that one of the hounds is aggroed on Chester, but McTusk is already too far from home and is easily dispatched. Oh yay, another tusk! Don't need it, so I just leave it and then continue on exploring while the local pigs fight with the spiders. Near the end of dusk, I find a board and log armor boon, so I grab those, and at about 90 seconds into night, I finish exploring the forest. Running past the walrus igloos, I see that the lights are on. This means that wee McTusk survived, but his hounds and daddy aren't around, so it's safe to run past. I pause up in a clearing before the bee fields to make a fire. I'm out of crockpot food, so I go ahead and cook up a big meat I have and warm up a bit, then leave my thermal stone to continue warming while I explore this small section of area just to the north, and then head back to the campfire. A few killer bees followed me, so I throw on my visor and take them out. I still need that bundling wrap recipe. Dawn of day 32 arrives, and I'm not optimistic about getting a Deerclops this winter. Sad day. I head up to break the killer bee hive, then gobble the honey for a little snack, and then go fight some more bees. Another hive down and still no recipe, so I head back to Chester and then try out my Telebrella. Okay, that was a lot of fun. Oh, and sweet, it looks like Chester warped back too. Nice. Back at base, I do some chores and then eat some jerky. A commenter on a prior video noted that with Wagstaff's stomach, he still gets the full healing from raw foods like jerky, but the healing is applied first and then he takes the 3 damage from it. So a big jerky effectively heals him 17 rather than 20, and a small jerky would heal 5 instead of 8. And the highest I can ever heal with a raw food is 147 health because of this effect, which overall isn't too bad. I've already got a full stack of 40 bee stingers, so I just drop the excess off to the side. When spring comes, I'll eventually get a lure plant and put stuff like this in the garbage disposal, but for now I don't want them cluttering up my base. Then just for funsies, I make some taffy as well as a meaty stew. Once again, while sorting my storage, I neglectfully allow another pair of spectacles to deteriorate before turning them into something else. I still have plenty of pigskin though, but at some point we'll need to set up a cluster of pig houses nearby to turn them into werepigs to get more pigskins. I normally do that earlier in the game to create a tree cutting special ops force, but given that I have a thumper... Looking at my map, the only areas left to explore are the swamp, the desert, and a tiny patch by the wooden circle thing set piece. I'm not sure why I haven't bothered making Froggles yet, but instead grab a torch and head off into the swamp to map it out, lighting trees periodically to top up my temperature. The night is pretty uneventful, but early into day 33 I find the remains of a war zone and grab the loot. Later, Merm. Soon the swamp is done, so I make a sign to label the nearby wormhole and hop in. While the screen is still black, I can hear the sound of fighting, and I pop out right next to the Pengals that last episode set up camp at a walrus igloo, and as expected, the Pengals are winning. I chase a McTusk across the path of a tall bird, hoping the bird would get him, but ironically, get both of them aggroed on me. So I visor up and take down McTusk while the tall bird downs a wee McTusk. Looks like there is a second hunting party out, but soon the fight is over and I pick up some more hound's teeth and a monster meat. Oh look, just what I need, another walrus tusk! I mark this end of the wormhole with a sign, then head back to base for a pit stop. A couple of pierogi go into the crock pot to heal me up, then I head back out as it turns to night to continue exploring. I head into the desert first, toggling to my visor to pick cactus and opening the occasional tumbleweed that crosses my path. I'm not feeling particularly suicidal, so I don't bother mapping the middle of the Houndbound Fortress for obvious reasons, OCD tendencies be damned. And soon enough, this side of the desert is done and I head to the other side, and pause to allow Wagstaff to comment on Maxwell's door. Apparently he's pretty impressed. I'll most likely set up a summer base in this area during the spring. Volt goats are easy to kill and drop big meat, and maybe I'll get myself a Morningstar so I can get electric milk and make ice cream, a top level sanity food, not that it's really needed with all the cactus around, but still might be fun. I grab more cactus while heading over to the spider infested rocky land. It definitely looks like I'm not getting a Deerclops this winter, bummer. A few burning trees get my temperature back up, then I'm off again. Since it's dusk, I skirt around the spider territory and then drop Chester for safety, map out the wooden circle thing, and then play with the clockworks. Wagstaff to G2 is followed by knight to F2. Rook attacks G3 from A3 and then takes out his own knight while a bishop takes up a defensive post in the wings. The rook then proceeds off the board, angering the spectators and getting captured by spiders and a tree guard, while the bishop also wanders off the board and likewise gets mobbed by the audience. Man, these guys follow the rules of chess about as well as my kids do. Oh, and then the spiders hop on the board and take out the last bishop, and that's checkmate for this set piece. The spider chases me over to Chester, and I start to hear the warning sounds for the next hound attack. I probably could have let the tree guards and spiders help with the hounds, but it's almost night and I don't want to be running around in that sort of chaos with a torch. So instead, go off a safe distance and make a fire. The hounds are increasing in number and coming in faster, so I double up my armor and tank some hits. My visor breaks, but soon enough they're all down, and hey, I finally got a blue gem from the bastards. I eat my pierogi to heal up, then munch on some jerky to restore my sanity. I was saving that jerky for Deerclops, but that's definitely not going to happen now, then just for fun eat a cooked cactus. Checking the map, it looks like everything is fully explored, not bad for day 34. I go ahead and burn my low durability log suit and make a new one, and then on the dawn of day 35 I head out to pick up the loot from yesterday's carnage. I gotta say, that was a pretty effective way to get the clockworks cleared out. Wagstaff has an interesting comment regarding the wooden circle thing, and after that I teleport back to base and... Whoa, what was with that moleworm right there? Those guys must have been drag racing around my base while I was gone. It's almost spring and the rains have now arrived. These early rains can be a bit problematic as combined with the still fairly low ambient temperature, they can cause you to freeze pretty easily. My telebrella only provides 35% protection though, so I'm gonna need a raincoat and head off to the alchemy engine to check the recipe. I then finally remembered that I haven't made the infroggles yet and go ahead and craft a pair. Okay, I love the sound effect of putting them on and off, but the visibility definitely isn't as good as a pair of moggles, but oh well. I also go ahead and make a new visor, again forgetting to use my not brand new pair that I'm wearing. I'm gonna need more tentacle spots for a raincoat, so I head to the swamp. The temperature is hovering around freezing, so I go ahead and make a fire and take out a second tentacle as it turns to night. Now to try the infroggles. Okay, this is kind of fun. Looks like the spiders are gonna take out a tentacle for me, so I start to fight one that's next to me, but the spiders wander over before it's dead, so I back off while it hits a spider and has a few more come over. Looks like there won't be enough to kill it, and as I'm getting cold I head back to my fire to warm up. Infroggles go back on and I run back to base to grab my thermal stone. If I'm gonna be wearing armor, I might need it to stay warm and then head back to the swamp and that campfire to warm up to the stone. Except I take a wrong turn and go the wrong way. Man, it's not like I have a mini-map on my screen. Duh. Anyway, so I head back to the swamp and warm up my thermal stone, and soon enough it's day 36 and the last day of winter. Another couple of tentacles and still no spots, but I'm getting plenty of tentacle spikes and then find 2 spots waiting for me next to a level 3 spider and, okay, make that a spider queen. And I think to myself, what the hell, let's kill it. Since I've got my danger vision goggles on, I decide to see if I can incite violence between the queen and a tentacle, but the queen walks right over the tentacle a couple of times and doesn't seem to get attacked. Oh well, if you want something done right and can't get others to do it for you, do it yourself. Spider Queens are pretty easy to fight, and after getting into the groove of its attack timing, I take it out pretty fast. My inventory is a bit full, so I go ahead and use the spider glands to heal up a bit, then hold my log suit while I gather up the rest of the loot that I want right now. Back at base, I use a glommer goop for a fire, then make a bunch of boards to expand my storage area as some of the chests are getting pretty full. I've got a ton of food right now and go ahead and make a full round of bacon and eggs, then gather the materials to make my raincoat, and I'm basically set to deal with the rains of spring, as the raincoat alone gives 100% protection from rain as well as insulation from lightning. My sanity is a bit low, so I cook up some green veggies to top it up, then I throw on my infroggles to go use my thumper and harvest my trees. Dawn breaks while I'm picking up the logs, and it is now spring. Pine cones get planted, then back to base to store everything. So I haven't covered spring yet in my beginner's guide series, but other than hound attacks starting to get pretty dangerous, there's really only 3 dangers unique to the season. So while I'm doing some chores around base, let's talk about them briefly. For starters, there's the extended duration rains, which is easily solved with an umbrella if you're graced with the Deerclops, a raincoat, or a variety of hat and regular umbrella combinations. Rain itself is more of a nuisance than anything. Yeah, if you get wet enough you can start to drop things, but I honestly don't think that's ever actually happened to me. It can make you cold enough to freeze and start taking damage, and it can also cause increased drain on your sanity. But again, a few easy to acquire wet weather gear items and you're good to go. A bigger potential danger is the chance to get a frog rain, which will cause frogs to drop all over the place around your character. They're generally pretty easy to avoid, but as with all frogs, if you hit one of them, they'll all rush over to gank you. But although these frogs can be a danger to the unwary or unwise, they can also provide a ton of frog legs, as well as be used against a variety of other mobs such as hounds, or even the third danger, the giant of spring, the moose goose. But I don't want to undercut my future spring episode for the beginner's guide, so I won't talk about moose goose here unless I actually get attacked by one. Now that it's spring and I've got my surface map fully explored, I want to start working on some other tasks, starting with going crazy to get nightmare fuel so I can make a shadow manipulator. You may remember that I found a blueprint for this dark magic crafting station during my initial exploration of the desert, so I don't need to bother with the prestidigitator. I remember finding a mushroom circle during my initial map outlining and find it marked on the map over in the swamp, so I head over as I can't remember what color the mushrooms were. I'm hoping that they're green so I can use them to go crazy, but turns out they were actually red. Oh well. I'm able to find plenty of green mushrooms for my psychedelic pleasures while heading back to base. Even though I'm dry, the nighttime temperature is just barely below freezing, but I decide to just head back to base to warm up. After putting a few things away, I swallow the shrooms and wait for the shadow creatures to arrive. I don't find any during the night, but early on day 38 I finally find a few. These crawling horrors are really easy to fight, and I generally don't even bother wearing any armor for them, unless I get more than one at a time. They have a mild insanity aura when you're close to them, but killing one restores 15 sanity, so I have to periodically eat more mushrooms to keep my sanity low. I'll only need 7 shadow fuel for the manipulator, but I also want to have enough for at least one dark sword, the highest damage melee weapon in the game. By the time I'm about out of mushrooms, I have enough for just the manipulator, so I cook up some monster meat to help keep my brain fried. A few more horrors and I'm still one short of the amount of fuel I need, so more cooked monster meat it is. Finally, I've got more than enough, and as it turns to night, I cook up my last green mushroom and eat some jerky to get my sanity back up, and soon my shadow manipulator is crafted, along with a dark sword. I'm a little low on gold, so I grab some wires from a chest and cook up some monster meat to turn into eggs, but then decide to go track some suspicious dirt piles to see what I can get. The trail ends right by my base and I'm dreading it being a Varg or Yukas, but it turns out to be a cuddly little Koalefant. As I don't need the meat, I decide to keep him as a pet and will later maybe make a pen for him. They're nice to have around base for the manure they provide, and seriously, they're just so darn cute. Then it's off to the Pig King for some more gold. My next task is to set up a tooth trap hound fighting area. First, I place a fire pit a short distance from home. Since there will eventually be fire hounds that will burn anything nearby, I go ahead and pick the flowers, but stupidly burn them rather than save them for additional telebrellas or rot. Oops. Then up at base, I grab half my hound's toofs, make a big stack of rope. I need some more grass, so I head up to my little garden just as I start to hear the sound of the next hound attack. Talk about good timing. So I abandoned harvesting grass, run down to my not yet constructed fighting arena, and quickly plop down as many tooth traps as I can. I managed to get 8 down before the first hound arrives, and then, with the power of my hambat and tooth traps combined, vanquish my foes in short order. And since I picked up a few more teeth in the process, I go ahead and expand the arsenal up to 15 traps. I'll hereafter add more traps from the hound attacks as needed, thereby making these periodic dangers a walk in the park. Night falls and I and Froggle back to base, finish harvesting the grass, top off my twigs, and then call it a night until next time. Well, I'm pretty bummed that Deerclops never showed up, but hopefully you found the Spider Queen and Chessboard Royale battles enjoyable. Next episode, we'll continue to march towards summer, but will we end up being 0 for 2 on our seasonal giants? We'll see. As always, if you like this series and or found it helpful, informative, or at the very least somewhat entertaining, please hit that like button and subscribe so that YouTube will like me, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!